See, I think it's almost 70 transactions. And right now, I think this year, I've got 4 listings that I'm working on and 2 coming in the pipeline. So I'm excited to kind of go over transactions. I'm actually taking a lot of that back on. I had a small team last year and I'm doing a lot more of the transaction management. When I first started at KW, I was a solo agent and managed all of my transactions. And it was about a year in where I had 12 under contract at once, where I was like, I need some help. And we hired Alicia, my first admin, and that made all the difference. We're going to go over some of those systems and what that means for you guys. And I'm going to hopefully run through a lot of data. I'm kind of sad I don't have people here because I always like when we get participation, but maybe we'll get to cover more data if that's the case. And in talking about working with buyers and sellers, there's going to be a lot of communication that you guys are going to have. You're going to be communicating with your buyers, your sellers, your other agents. You're going to also be communicating with loan officers, title people. So realizing that, having just start to build those relationships will help. Also, really working on setting the right expectations with everybody about how you might communicate with them, when you might communicate with them, and it'll really help your buyers or your sellers. Let's say they're not under contract yet. Every time you get off the phone with them, they need to know what's going to happen next. Like today, we're expecting the home inspection to go on. I don't anticipate there being any issues, but I will touch base with you after I hear from the agent. The next step after that is going to be the appraisal. So like giving them, this is what's coming down the pipeline, is just a really important place for them to feel calm. And you might have already even told them that that's what's going to happen. But the problem is that they don't remember. You guys maybe have heard me say this in other classes. It takes people 6 times of hearing something to retain it at 75%. So you might have laid out this whole timeline that you're going to have with them, that the appraisal happens, the inspection happens, you collect earnest money, all of the pieces. They don't remember. They're nervous. So you have to tell them again and again, this is what's happening right now. This is what's going to be happening in the future. The more you communicate with them, the better your relationship, your reputation, and the smoother the transaction will go. Even if there is a problem, you are way better to talk about the problem than avoid it. And I don't know if you guys have heard the saying, the word is like a scared man dies 1,000 deaths. Because you're scared to talk to your client and you're feeling it over and over and over. But if you can just be brave and talk to them about it, you faced it and it's done. You don't have to keep facing that weight or that fear. The stress of that makes a huge difference. So just be open. And when you know you've got the feeling, you get that, ugh, don't sit with it. Find out what you got to do and then talk to your clients about it. Fiduciary versus functionary. Oh, I'm not moving this one along. I think I'm supposed to do both of those. There we go. We're going to manage both of these. I feel like this is going to be an exciting day. Fiduciary versus functionary. A functionary agent is going to be somebody who might just go open a door for somebody, where a fiduciary agent is going to be really representing that buyer or the seller in their best interest. Whatever you're doing, you're acting as if you're helping them make the best decisions for them. A functionary agent might be somebody who just puts initials and signatures on the contract through the DocuSign. A fiduciary is going to walk them through and help them understand why it matters when earnest money goes hard, or what those dates and deadlines are going to do to impact their goals. So that's just a piece that as we go through this, realize we're going to talk a lot about checklists today, which is very functionary, but I want you to think about it in the mindset of a fiduciary. How do I act when I'm completing these tasks? And in what emotion am I using while I'm completing this task where I am adding the signatures? What information should I be sharing with the buyer or the seller during that time? Let's see. I'm going to keep moving both forward. We talked about this a little. We're going to set expectations. Let's see if I can. I feel like I have too many screens to keep up on. Okay. You guys probably already know you have not done this class. Next week, we had to do some switching around on the schedule. Next week, you're going to do make and receive offers, and you're going to do negotiate the deal. So Colby Kerr and Calvin Helps is going to be teaching both of those classes, and they're going to go through a little deeper in here. We jumped ahead of the game to make the schedule work for everybody. So we're going to do a really quick run through of the process. So first step on your transaction, partner with an agent, get a pre-approval for the loan, set clear search criteria. This is for a buyer. They're going to find their home. They're going to make an offer. We're going to go under contract. You're going to coordinate with all of your vendors, people like home inspection and other things. You're going to negotiate your home inspection, your appraisal, pre-close, and post-closing. How much have you guys covered this round on this? I think you were in Ignite for January. This is your first round of Ignite?
Yeah, this is my first round.
And do you have your license right now?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. Did you have your license before you came to KW? Or are you, how long have you had your license for?
Oh, for less than a month.
That's so exciting.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. My recommendation is to go through Ignite at least 3 times. Because same with our clients, you know how I said they're not ready to hear what happens next? You're not ready to hear it. You'll hear something different every time you sit in the classes. You'll learn something more. So just keep showing up. I think that's where Kason and Mosiah, I feel like you guys were in the January Ignite. I'm not going to get a ton in this timeline right now. We're going to just start to skip, not skip, but kind of walk through it and in the sections of it. So setting some expectations on documents. Oh, I thought I had some better things in here. Let me see. No, we're going to go back. So let's talk about setting expectations for documents. I feel like I don't know where this one is now. 7, 8. We got to go one more. Okay. So you find a buyer, right? You're making your calls, you're calling your database, and you're like, hey, I'm in real estate. Is there anyone you know that is looking to buy a house? And someone says, hey, my brother is. Okay, cool. Now I will say, yes, you could just go show them houses just right then. Perfect. Let's go find some houses and show them to you. Your whole experience and their whole experience is going to suck. It just is. It will make all the difference in the world if you take the time to say, great, let's meet for an hour at my office and we're going to go over what the plan looks like. And setting the expectation of what that looks like, of what they can expect. The last class we did when we did this, we really went over the buyer broker agreement and the rep C. What I recommend you guys do is study those contracts, the 3 contracts: your buyer broker agreement, your exclusive right to sell, and your real estate purchase contract. And when I say study, I don't mean just read it. Take it one paragraph at a time, just one paragraph. And I want you to read it, and I want you to think about teaching your kids or your parents or somebody close to you, what does this paragraph mean? Because you'll read that contract in a different way. And then I want you to take that one paragraph and I want you to go to them and teach them what this one paragraph means. Because you can read it over and over again and it just won't be the same. But if you just one at a time, and once you do that, take it to whoever it is. For me, it was my daughter at the time. I'm like, okay, you're 10, but I'm going to teach you about buying a house. And we just did one paragraph. The reason is that those contracts will give you confidence. When you get to know me, I don't have a lot of fancy scripts. Sometimes I might be in sweats, but I know my contracts and my people trust me because I can talk about them in such a way that they trust that I've got their best interest. And you need to know them anyways, but that will be the basis of your confidence. And it's worth it, especially because they pay us a lot of freaking money to protect them. So we better know those contracts. And that's the best way to do it, though. Just take one. If you take one paragraph a day, in 30 days, you will most likely be able to do all 3 of those contracts if you do one paragraph a day. The reason that's important is because then you're going to sit down and do these documents with your clients. So as you're learning all of these other things, put that in your success habits of like, okay, check, I've practiced 1 section a day of my contracts. Okay, I'm going to keep now setting communication expectations of what they can expect too. So this is for most likely your buyers or sellers. When I'm sitting down with them, I want to know, how do they communicate? So I have some sellers that are email only. And I don't know if it's because they don't have their cell phones at work, but they email so fast. But if I send them a text or call, I get no response, or vice versa. My husband does power line work, so he is never on his computer or email. So if someone sends him an email, he's not going to get it. And he doesn't want you to call him because he's up on a power pole. He doesn't want to answer the phone. He wants you to text him. So you'll have better success if you just ask them, what's the best way to communicate? Do you guys like phone calls, text messages, or emails? What's best for you? And he'll say, you know, if I send you a text message, it's just because I don't want to interrupt your life. I'm always available for a phone call. Just call me back. I just want it to be at your convenience instead of mine. And as a client, I want you to know as well, the way you communicate with me is how I'm going to communicate back. So just know that if you send me an email, I will probably email you back. If you call me, I'll call you back. If you text me, I'll text you back. So don't expect if you send me an email that I'm going to end up calling you. So just helping them understand how we're going to talk about things. The other thing is like when a good house comes on the market, how do they want you to show up? So once we get to that point, when houses come on, what's the best way? Would you prefer I send it to you in a text message or email? For me personally, I almost 100% of the time text the listings out instead of email them. You can automate them to go in email. If they stop opening them, they're going to go into their spam. And if they're good houses, I want them to go right to their text message, because what we know is people do not leave their text messages unopened. It is very, very rare. Like, even if I have to go and find that one text message that seems to still say I have a little one from 3 weeks ago, I'm going to go find it, open it up, and figure it out. Where an email is pretty low communication. So have that realization. If you really have a qualified buyer, for me, I text them and it's way more effective because I'll get immediate responses. And have a plan so that they know. So of like what's happening. This one is really hard for me. I always feel like I should be working all of the time, and I don't want my clients to know I'm not working. And so last year I went on a special trip with my mom. My mom doesn't travel. She doesn't even get in the car and drive. She walks everywhere. And I got her to take a flight from the Provo airport to Florida to see the piano guys. And I'm sitting in the Provo airport and I'm on the phone with a seller, and the airport starts going, talking, whatever, like calling the flight. And my seller's like, are you at the airport? And I didn't tell him that I was going on a special trip with my mom. He was like, what are you doing? Why didn't you just tell me? I want you to go have fun with your mom. Like, and since then, I would say that I've worked really hard to set the expectation, make sure everyone's taken care of. I'm still available, but I want you to know this is what's happening. I'm headed out of town for the weekend. If you need anything, call me. And I also have a partner that's helping me, or I have one other agent. If you need anything else, I want you to know I still have people who can take care of things. This is what it's going to look like. And I had to have somebody else teach me that. I felt so bad. And he was fine. That was the sad thing is I was all just trying to hide that I was going out of town. They want you to live. They want you to go to your kids' soccer game. They want you to go do those things. Just tell them that that's what's happening ahead of time, so they have a plan. And make sure you have another agent in place that can help out. And there's lots of agents that are all willing to help. Set something up so that it's already ready to go. Something as simple as you know you have an active buyer and the perfect house comes on the market and you are in, I don't know, Las Vegas, Cabo, wherever you're at. Being able to start a group text message even before you leave that says, hey, I just want to let you know, this is Becky. She's going to be showing for me this weekend. If anything comes up that you want to see, feel free to hop on and add it to this text message. I do that because then I can see what they're talking about and I kind of want to be in the loop of what they saw and what happened. And then I set up that text message before I leave. So I am just really open about, hey, I'm headed out of town. I have another agent who's going to help you if anything comes up. This is their contact. Just jump on here and they'll take care of you while I'm gone. And that has been really, really effective. So that is one idea. Let's see what else we got. Okay. Set up to date market expectations. So this is all like reflecting back on your buyer consultation. So when you're sitting down with them in that buyer consultation, if you don't have these conversations about how you're going to communicate, what it's going to look like when you go out of town, what the market looks like, you'll regret it later. The good thing about this business is you learn everything through making a mistake. So you probably will miss this on your first buyer and they'll teach you, kind of like my seller, he taught me. And being able to know our market looks different than it did even 90 days ago, and it looks totally different than it did a year ago. My conversation with buyers a year ago was like, you need to have $20,000 of earnest money. We need to be ready to go. We have to be able to close in 2 weeks. This is what it's going to look like. Like, are you ready to play ball? And the challenge is in this market, they might not need $20,000, but they think they can do it with $1,000. They think they can offer $50,000 below list price, and they think that they're going to be able to close in 3 months. And you got to talk with them, like, even though the market is shifting, it is super important that you have the right expectations. So I might even show them. So I have some buyers I'm working with right now, and they, I did not sit down the first time and do a buyer consult. I met them at a house. It's somebody I worked with years ago. And in the house, we had to have a buyer consultation and go over expectations, because we went and saw a $900,000 house, and they're like, well, the market is so bad, we thought we would offer $650,000. I'm like, you're freaking nuts. They're not going to accept $650,000. Now they might once they drop their price. You're right. They're totally overpriced, but emotionally that seller is never going to look at your offer at $650,000. And they may take it a year from now, but right now you might be able to get them to take $820,000. You want to know what's funny is I just sent them that closed listing, and guess what it closed for? $820,000. Like, exactly. Like, I'm like, that's, I bet, what they'll take. So what we did in that consult as well, as I said, I think would be really good for you guys is to watch the market and see what is really happening. Yes, it's softening and there's a lot that you guys can do, and I think you can get into a good home, but I want you to see what is happening for sellers. So I do have them on an email hot sheet that comes up, or an email listing alert that shows everything that they love that is active, when it goes under contract, and when it sells. So we're starting to set the expectation that maybe it's listed at 900 and it closes at 800. So that's why even that one closed that I sent it to them. It was like, just so you guys know, that first house we went and looked at just closed for 820, not 600, but it is what it is. So just really starting to set what that might look like. What's interesting is I still had multiple offers on my listing last weekend. So it's not that unusual. The difference is last year offers were 70 or 80,000 above list price. So my seller, when he heard multiple offers, still thought he was going to be 50,000 above list price. He wasn't. We're more like 10,000 above. And so just helping him understand that the market is still strong. It's not crazy like it was, but it's going to change 30 days from now. Because I'd have to say 30 days ago, I didn't really see multiple offers, and we're seeing some of that happening right now. The other thing that was interesting is, as out of 8 offers, the highest earnest money was $6,000, which is low in my opinion of where it's a $600,000 house, but that was 1%. So when I'm with a buyer, I might set that expectation of earnest money is going to be 1% of the purchase price, but you might be able to get away with $1,000 or $1,500. So the neat thing, it was interesting because I had several at 5,000 and the one buyer that was at 6,000, it only took $1,000 more to look that much better. It wasn't that much more. And just setting what we're expecting to have happen. So I do have another listing that we haven't had. I've had one showing, 4 calls, and 1 neighbor came to the open house. Like, it's quiet. You know, when we have a similar listing that was priced a little more aggressively, that we were getting more like 8 to 10 people at our open houses, even during the week, but no offers. So helping them like work through like, what are we seeing and how's it going, what to expect. She's not ready to move on her price. We can share information and that's our job, but they'll make the decisions that they want to make and figure out what that looks like. So same thing though, is like, I let her know when we went on the market that she's pushing the market. We'll probably know in 10 days if we're priced too high. And I don't think she's priced that too high. That's what's funny is I bet if she dropped 10,000, we'd end up with 3 or 4 showings just like that. So we'll see. We'll let them decide. It's their house. Okay. Now let's hit steps of referral. This looks all fancy. Provide value, ask for help, and then reward. This is so our business. So we closed our GCI last year was right around $750,000 on gross commission income. And 92% of our business comes from repeat and referral. 8% of my business comes from open houses. That's it. I personally don't cold call. I don't work with for sale by owners or expireds. It's just not, it's not in alignment with me. So the reason that I bring that up is how do you get people to send you referrals? I think it's super important that you reward, 1, you got to ask, and 2, you have to reward the behavior, not the closed transaction. So if somebody says, oh, hey, I ran into a friend and they were looking to buy a house, so I gave them your number. That might not even be, they may never call you, but after that conversation, you go back, you handwrite a note and you say, thank you so much. Even if you can't afford to put anything in there. Now you can buy stuff like, I buy Sodalicious sodas. They're $2 a card. So a $2 soda or $2 cookie. And so that's a little bit more economical that I can put into those types of cards that I haven't really done anything. We haven't even had anyone call us, but then it's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for thinking of me when real estate came up. Let me know if I can help your friends or family. Thanks, Angie. In those cards, I always put 2 business cards. So I put, if I don't put in something, sometimes I don't add anything. It depends on how much I'm wanting to reward whoever's behavior. And that sounds a little weird, but there are some people who might run in a circle that maybe they don't qualify as much. So I do a lot of work in that circle of friends. I spent friends of in my past life. We'll just, maybe their credit score is 500 or 600,000 or 500 or 600 on their credit scores. So they're below, and it might be a little bit tough. So I still want to tell them thank you, but I might not invest money on it because I maybe don't need another one that's going to be at a 500 credit score that comes to me. I'll do my best, but I don't know if that makes sense.
For first time buyers, how much is the down payment that they gotta make?
You know what's really cool right now is in this market, it's one of the best market for first time home buyers. I love it because right now we're seeing that sellers are more willing to offer closing costs, and there are different loan programs. So like an FHA Utah housing loan, I've gotten buyers in for as little as $1,000. So the cool thing is that they're able to actually borrow their down payment as part of their purchase price. So you might be, and I've actually had them get their $1,000 back. I don't expect that a lot, but you can truly do a 0% down right now, because if the buyer is flexible and willing to be open to the home they buy,
Okay.
they may not get their perfect house. So when I have somebody who says, Angie, I have $1,500, can you help me get into a house? That's the first expectation I set. Yes, and you need to get into a house. It's one of the best things that's going to stabilize your life. Now, if you only have $1,500, what I need from you is you're going to have to be really open and flexible about your location. You're going to have to be really open and flexible about the condition. But you buying your first house will get you to your next house. So that's the first thing I said. And the way we're going to do that is we have to find a seller that is willing to take our FHA offer and willing to pay your closing costs. Which means we may not get it. If it's been on the market one day and they get 3 other offers, we might not be able to compete. So we might be looking at things that have been on the market 14 to 60 days, because they're going to play game. They'll play with us. Now, Utah housing is available anywhere in Utah. There's other loan programs that you can get at 0% down as well, like your USDA loan, like rural housing. That's going to be Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, Cedar, Fort out there.
Okay.
Or down south, it's going to be Payson, Santaquin, some of Salem, most of Salem, I think, Nephi, places like that. You do have to have a little bit better credit score for that one. I think you can get Utah housing with as little as 640, maybe even 620. They were talking about it in team meeting. And their payment is going to be a little bit higher if they don't have great credit and a good down payment, but you can still get them into a home. Where last year, I feel like out of luck, like there's no getting you into a house. And so it's the coolest time. It's the coolest time for you guys to be coming into the market, because most of the time you're helping those first time home buyers when you're getting started. Like, it is beautiful to watch what you can do. You will impact their life like crazy.
Even if they don't have credit history, for example, because I know people that have moved to the States from outside of the country, and they don't have any kind of credit. How hard is that?
Well, the situation's a little bit different, but you know, I was working with Bibiana. She helped me with a client that doesn't have a social security number, and she helps a lot of folks in that situation that I have. I think they're called TIN numbers. And there are loan programs available for that. She's out of our office. She's on the ALC, and oh, she is a smart lady. So if you have any Spanish speaking, or you have people who don't have maybe that situation, but they might have job history or credit, other things, she's a good one to ask as far as a resource. She can point you in the right direction. As far as other credit, so you might want to check UCCU. They have some portfolio loans that are not like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, but it's possible that they would do one at UCCU. I had a young kid had 0 credit because his parents taught him that credit was so bad. He didn't have a lick of it. So he banked, I think it was UCCU, or it might have been at Zions. And we went to his bank and they helped us establish, and they did it like a portfolio loan for him. It wasn't like a traditional loan, which is awesome. He owns a twin house in Springville now, has probably $250,000 in equity. This was maybe 5 years ago. I helped him, and he called me. He's like, "I'm having some more kids, Angie. Can you help me get into a bigger house?" I was like, "Oh,
nice."
Yeah. Makes me so happy. Okay, so one, you gotta be a good agent. That's one way you're gonna get referrals. I have a saying that live in such a way that people want to do business with you. That means you got to be honest. You got to be friendly. You got to be hardworking. Like, when people see you, whether you're a new agent or not, the people who are in your life, if you are honest and trustworthy and hardworking, they're like, well, I want to do business with somebody who's like that. If you pour into people and you are loving and caring, people are like, oh, I want to be around that. So think about that, of like, how am I interacting with all the people I interact with every day? What can I do to help them want to be around me and be in business with me? And then you got to ask. So one of my favorite scripts is, I learned really quick that this business is word of mouth. So I'm hoping you will help me. Is there anyone you know that I should know? Like, is there anyone you could introduce me to that might need our help? And I spend a lot of time. So a lot of our business is repeat and referral. I do spend a lot of time on customer care and customer service. So I want to be the person they call when they think about real estate, whether it's, I need carpet, I need a contractor, we're finishing our basement, I need a house cleaner. What about window washers? What about a loan program? Like, so a lot of times I'm not doing business with them. I'm just sending them contact information and I'm connecting them. But it's because I want them to think about real estate and think about me. So this week I have actually sent out general contractor information to 3 people carpet people to 2 people, house cleaner to 1. So I'm spending time doing that, just being a resource for people. And while I'm on the phone, I'm like, great. So do you know anyone who's making a move this year? Is there anyone I can help? So you got to ask and then reward them. Handwritten notes are the #1 most important thing you can do. If you get to a place you can do something else, add something in there. We have switched to our birthday cards this year. We're doing $2 bills because it's not that much, but it's kind of fun. So you can do the same thing of like, hey, thanks, I think you're special, like this $2 bill, whatever. You figure out something that makes it sound like you, but
That sounds cool.
yeah, aren't $2 bills cool? I think it's so cool. And my friend just got one in the mail because I just switched in. It's her birthday this next week. And she's like, this is the coolest idea. Thank you.
No, I was going to ask you, I've been wondering since I got into real estate right now.
Mhm.
I don't see anybody have those, what is it, those stickers on their cards where
Mhm.
it says realtor or whatever. You don't see that as much.
You don't, and I'm just gonna ask you, if you knew somebody at church or school or in your neighborhood that was a real estate agent, and you saw somebody driving a car, who are you more likely to call?
The person you know.
The person you know. So it's not horrible, but the reality is that it's not going to be someone who doesn't know you who calls from what's on your car. It's actually going to be someone who knows you.
Yeah.
It's going to remind them that you're in real estate. So like, almost all of my sweats are real estate sweats. So coffee and real estate, or I have another one that's got a llama on it that says, let me tell you how much your house is worth, or like I wear a lot of swag so that when that's my billboard. That's what's on my car is I wear KW gear, and I wear something that has to do with real estate, or something that they're all funny, kind of silly ones, but that's my billboard on my car for me. And
Where do you get those clothing and stuff at?
Etsy. There is KW swag upstairs that is great. Hang on just a second. I got KW sweats on today, but I'm gonna get some more when I go to family reunion because my doggy put a hole in mine, so I can't wait. But just go on, and if you Google like real estate apparel, you'll pull stuff up, or KW apparel. But the girls on my team, they were like, Angie, I don't want to wear KW stuff. They wanted to wear fun stuff. So they have stuff that says like home girl, and it has a little picture of a house, or you can get on and find all sorts of stuff, but you might as well like live your brand of whatever that is. And so for us too, it's like, if I'm going to be sitting at a volleyball game, I'm more likely to be in sweats, and those are the people I'm talking to, whether it's my kid's volleyball game, or whether it's, soccer, or whether it's PTA. Like, do business in your places that you're already at. Like, don't make it hard. I'm making friends in the HIIT class I was at earlier. I think that's what it was, nose surge. I learned how to do burpees. But yeah, Etsy has a ton of stuff. Becky on my team had a couple of them messed up. So just make sure you read it when you get it. She got one and it said, oh, what was it? It made me laugh because it said horse instead of house. Oh, it said horse hunter instead of house hunter on it when she got it. And her husband was like, oh my gosh, they reprinted it for her, but just so bad, so bad. Okay.
That's for the people who work in glue factories.
Right. It was so funny. She was so proud of it. Like, she held it up and he was like, I don't get it. Oh, so fun. Okay, so reviews. Now, if you don't have any reviews, you should just get some right now. Like, honestly, go to people. So in your buyer packet, your seller packet, your Facebook page, Google, anywhere, people want your reviews. That's actually the most important information. If you want to talk about value proposition, or you want to talk about anything else, they do care. They don't care. It's your reviews that are going to matter to them. Even if you haven't closed any transactions, go to your old boss, go to somebody you've done business with, just say, hey, would you mind doing a review for me on how I operate, who I am, the kind of person I am? Like, you have 5 people who are willing to do that at least. And so get those so that you have something in there, even if it's talking about your integrity, your hard work, your caring nature, whatever that is matters, because you want to be able to have that. You can go on to, they can go on to Google right now and do that for you. But you just have to ask. And if they don't do it, it's not because they don't like you. They just got busy and forgot. So don't feel bad when you ask again. My poor photographer has asked me 7 times. I felt so bad. He's so good. This last time he was doing my pictures, he's like, Angie, just one more thing. Can you maybe do a review for me? And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. Yes. He's like, well, if you do it today, I'll give you 10% off. I was like, okay, I'll get my car right now and do it. It's not that he does a great job. I wanted to leave him one. It's not personal at all. So
Did you?
I have
Now, I heard
found
something
if,
before of writing a review and have them sign off on it. Is that something you'd recommend, or you want them to just write it?
that's not in alignment with me. You could make that decision. It doesn't feel authentic to me, but
Okay.
I would rather, it is a little like scary, like, what are they going to say? But hopefully we live in such a way people want to do business with us. And maybe it's kind of weird, but I kind of like to know what people think about like our relationship and how I operate with them. How do I show up for them? What happens? How have I added value for them? And there's people in your life, you know, your people, but maybe you were just a coworker, but you and them were tight and you worked side by side, and they know how loyal you are, how dedicated you are, whatever those pieces are. And the other thing is that if my photographer had sent me a link to do the review, I probably would have done it 3 times ago. So I do recommend just put yourself up on a Google page and get or a Facebook page. Facebook is free, and get that started to where you can just send them the link that takes them right to the Facebook page, and they can leave you a review there. Find one avenue at least that you keep all of them. Some people do all. I've just learned, like for me, I'm just focusing on Google personally right now, but I have some on the Facebook. But this year I'm really focusing on Google. And I just have to ask. So if I provide value for somebody and I send them contractors, I will send them a text that also says, hey, I'm so glad I could be of service for you today. A kind word on Google goes a long way. If I made an impact, I'd love you. I'd love your feedback. And I put 5 little stars on it with the little link, and I send it to them. So some of our reviews are like, Angie's the nicest person. That's kind of like, maybe not great, it's fine. I love the ones that are pictures of us. I love the ones that are pictures of their house, what we did for them. And then the thing is that's other places. So if somebody sends it on Facebook or Google, you can then build a Facebook post about it. It's content. You can then put it in your seller packet or your buyer packet. But the moral of the story is create a system, have a plan. Don't just wing it. Really think, okay, I'm going to ask 3 people for reviews today, or just 1. I'm going to do 1 a day for the next 30 days. I'm going to find 1 person I know, maybe from my childhood even, or a school teacher, whatever, that's going to help me out. Okay, I got to do both screens. If your purchasing or selling experience exceeded our expectations, would you be so kind to give me a review? I'd also like your permission to use this in marketing and advertising. I probably should ask that, but I feel like if it's on Google, I don't have to ask their permission. It's on Google. But if they just write it and give it to you, you probably do want to make sure you have permission. I recommend you get on your Facebook though right away and get a Facebook page set up.
So it's a Facebook page besides your personal page, besides a separate one.
So I do have both. I post the most to my personal page. That's where my engagement is. But you do, if not, you can't get reviews on a personal page.
You can't? Okay.
No, so it's good. You might as well get it started and get going on it anyways. And you could even do just your name and like realtor as that business page. It doesn't have to be like some fancy business name.
Mhm.
It's almost like if I had to go back and do it again, I might have done that because it's easier to get people to follow you because they don't think they're following the business page.
Yeah,
They're like, oh, it's Angie, I'll go follow her. And we're Team Fisher Home, so it's a little bit more yeah, they know they're following a business page without
Okay.
question. All right, so ahas, I'm gonna take 2 and then we'll keep moving on from this section. I'll wait.
Mine's kind of the reviews. I never even thought about doing reviews and how important that was to people, looking at reviews and stuff like that. And so never done anything towards it. I'd heard once about that thing, as I'd said, about writing it for somebody to get it approved, but never thought it was that important. But, it's kind of like, oh, it is important. People do really like, who do I choose? They do Google and look between people nowadays.
You really should Google your name right now and see what comes up. So that's one of the other things you can do that's cheap, free, easy when you get started is like, that's what we do for the ladies on our team. You join our team and we get your presence out there everywhere. All of a sudden we make sure you have a Facebook page that looks right. You have an Instagram page that looks right. You're on LinkedIn, Google, Zillow, everywhere has profiles with your picture and your reviews that we've loaded in so that when somebody Googles, there's 4 or 5 places they find you and you look like you've been doing real estate a long time. So get Google yourself and see what's out there. And that's probably one of the first things you can do to make it look like you've been around for a minute, and set up your email signature. If Hunter hasn't done that for you, make sure you have one that looks decent. It doesn't take very long and it'll look way better. And it'll look like you've been in the business. All right, second aha, one more. Hate to lean on you, Corey. No one else wants to participate. Christian, what's something that you learned from that section?
well, you gotta do some like high-tech marketing. Like I'm learning, so a lot of this stuff are new for me.
That's why you got to keep coming back. You're not ready yet. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm not ready to put up a realtor page. The thing is you can go on and start those profiles pretty easily. The first step is I got to get a picture that looks decent.
Uh-huh.
You want to know, my first picture was a cruise picture. It was horrible. You just do it and then do it better. Don't not do it because you don't have a picture. Let someone take a cell phone picture of you right in front of the wood wall or the black wall or you know what I mean, or in front of the KW side. Don't let that stop you. Like, take a cell phone picture that looks halfway decent and just get it up there and get started, and then you can make it better.
Okay.
I like it. Well, then we will keep moving. All right, this is a buyer's need analysis. I kept this on here because I felt like these were things that were really good for you to start to set expectations for your buyers. Things like who'll be living in the home, how many adults and kids and pets, and what does that look like? What are your non-negotiables for your house? These are all pretty staunchy the way they talk about them. So in a buyer consult, I might say, all right, so what are the 3 most important things? Like, we might just start with like, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms? Do you want a garage? And of course they're like, yes, I would like 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, a 1/4 acre with a fenced yard and a 2-car garage. And I'm like, and your budget is 205.
And a swimming pool.
Right? Like, okay, so that's awesome. And so if some of these things had to give, let's talk through them. So what's more important to you? Is it 4 bedrooms or the garage? Would you be okay with 3 bedrooms and a garage, or would you pick 4 bedrooms and no garage? So I start to work through and I play what's more important. So what's more important to you? Is it that you're in a single family home, or is it that you need to have some private yard space? Would you be okay in a townhouse if it had a private backyard or a private space that was fenced? What's more important to you? Is the second bathroom that important, like figuring out them. So as I start to, they list all the things they want, and I just start to ask them which one of these is most important. And it really, they stop and they talk to you about how they live their life, why it's important. So you understand a little bit more, and then you're going to be able to serve them way better. And I usually tell them they can have 3 non-negotiables. What's your number one most important? Is it that it has to have a master bath, or it has to have a bathtub, or like what's the one thing that is 100% deal breaker? And they may say they want all those things and they're not willing to give it up, right? And then I go, oh, then it sounds like we might be looking in Levan, because that's really your budget is going to get you that in Levan. It's not going to get it here or in Nephi, or so then they go, oh, well, I don't want to live there. I'm like, okay, so what's more important? Is it having all those things, or being local? You really want to keep your kid at Provo High? Okay, then we got to talk about it. You're probably going to need to be at a townhome. And it's my fiduciary duty to tell you that. It's not fair for me to tell you that you can do it if you can't. Like, that's important that I'm honest and really share what the market looks like for them. So this is our buyer needs analysis. I'm going to skip to the next one. Showing home best practices. If there were more people here in the audience, we were going to play a game, but you guys are at home today. I love playing the game. We print off MLS listings. Once your contracts are memorized, this is the next thing that you can spend some time with. Print the MLS listing, the full agent report, and you're going to have people ask you questions on that report. I don't memorize everything with every house I show, but I better be able to find the information quickly. What year was it built? Does it have AC? Is there a sprinkler system? How many square feet? Like, what are the taxes? So as you do that, maybe next month when we are here and you guys all come in person, we'll actually play the game and have a prize to where it's like, you're both up, we have our bell, we ding it and say, okay, here was this house built. So for me, when I'm showing houses, I am a hanger backer. I let everybody kind of go forward. And as they're in the room, I'll talk about what's pertinent in the room or what's pertinent in the area from my MLS listing. So as we walk into the kitchen, I might say the refrigerator's included or excluded. This house was built in 1983. It has a central air. There's 3 bedrooms up here, but I just hang back as they're kind of walking through doing their thing. And I'm just sharing information that's coming off of that MLS sheet. Now, I would say best practices are when you set up all of your showings, you have your agent full report. If you can bring them a client report, and they can take notes on it, especially your high C's, your ones that are very analytical, really appreciate that. Especially if you're showing more than one house. You show 2 or 3, they really have a tough time. And you will win them over. Talk about feeling prepared. If you show up and you have your list of houses you're going to go see, and you give them a clipboard and it has their 5 houses that they get to take notes on, they love that. And then at the end of the day, they have that to reference. They really do like to hold on to stuff. And it's a way to wow them. I personally don't drive with anyone. I just tell them it's my safety policy. I don't drive. I will meet you there. This is the list of the houses we're going to go see. I personally found as well, it gives them some private time alone. And it gives me some private time alone. It takes a lot of emotional energy for me to be with people. No one would realize I'm actually introverted, and it takes a lot for me to put it out there. So when I can have the time in between showings, it's good for me. You figure out what that looks like for you, but for us, we don't drive in the cars with people. And have a plan as to where you're going. The MLS does have a map report that you can use. It's called, I think, the address report. It will actually filter and show you the best route. So that's kind of cool to use. And having a plan of like where you're going and how long you're going to be there. Same thing for setting expectations. So the showing can go so different if they already know that they have one set at 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30. They're not going to stay in the house an hour. So having that expectation of, okay, guys, we've got lots to see today. So it's important if this is not the right house that we bail. We don't need to see it. If you already know, let's not waste our time. Let's move on to the next one. You'll also do well if you walk them through the entire house and back up to the kitchen. You'll find that they'll end up in the storage room downstairs talking about how much they like the house because they're at the end of the tour. That's not the place to make decisions. Walk them back up. So just start to talk to them and start to walk. All right, guys, let's head on back upstairs. Get back to the kitchen because that is where good decisions are made. Those are the emotional decisions. They're not in the storage room anymore. Somebody had to tell me that. I kept ending up in the storage room. So be knowledgeable about the property and the neighborhoods. Something you can do right now that doesn't cost anything is use your MLS app, drive into a neighborhood you want to do business in or you think you have clients that might like. Open up your app while you're there because it has the GPS and you can see what's on the market, what's under contract. You can swipe and kind of see how much it is. It's going to give you a perspective on pricing and things like that. Make sure to point out any potential issues or concerns. Now, not in a way that it's personal to you though, because be careful because you might walk in and be like, oh, this is a crap hole. This isn't going to work. Don't do that because I have learned that you walk in and they go, oh, I love it. This is the one. And you're like, oh my gosh, it smells like cat pee. Just be careful because you may not know that they love it. So don't talk poorly about it, but you do want to make sure you don't hide stuff. But if it's their favorite, you have no idea why. Maybe they're fine that it smells like cat pee because it's 3 doors down from their mom and they're going to rip that carpet out anyways. Like they know, but don't try to hide it. But also don't degrade properties. Let them make the decision. Something like even walking in and being like, I love these white cabinets. Well, it's not about you. It's about them. It sounds more like, hey, what do you think about these white cabinets? How do you feel about the layout of this home? What are your thoughts about the bathroom? Are you okay with that layout? Have you guys looked at the backyard? What do you think? Do you have any concerns with, and let it be about them instead of like your opinion. And that's actually something you don't realize till you're doing it, but you do it all the time. Like it was a habit I had to break because we kind of all like to talk about ourselves and what we think and our experience of life. Okay. All right. Showing homes means agent interaction. Your negotiation actually begins the moment you schedule the appointment to show the house. So if on the MLS, they have specific instructions as to how to schedule the appointment or when to schedule the appointment or what that looks like, and you ignore them, you've jeopardized your client's ability to get the house. So make sure that you're reading any of the agent remarks or showing remarks before you schedule the appointments. Take the time. The agent took the time to put that information in there, and I promise it will serve you well. If there is something special and you call the agent and say, hey, I noticed that it's tenant occupied and we can't get in until next Thursday. I just wanted to touch base with you and see if you had any offers on the house. We don't want to wait that long. And so I just don't want to lose this house for my clients. That sounds so different than you sending a text message asking if you can get in or trying to schedule it through showing time or whatever. So just realize like you're always representing that client and they may love that house. You may need to get it under contract. So live in such a way that that agent wants to do business with you. Treat them with kindness, love, respect, whatever, and be easy. I will lean towards easy agents if I have multiple offers every time versus one that is like, I had one, it is so crazy. I had one that was like, called me up and she's showing the house and she was like, what's with these windows? And I was like, I don't know what's with the windows. Like, why do you have attitude with me? I don't really want to take an offer from you because we're just starting. You're just showing the house and that's what it's like. Like, think about how you're talking with them because it will matter as to your ability to get something under contract. The best negotiators are actually not like super hard nosed. They're, how do I get on the same side as my opponent or the person in opposition? That person who can align, they're going to get the deal done. They're going to be the one that has more success. Okay, I feel like I have two different slides. There we go. Safety first when showing homes. Also, we talked a little bit that I don't ride alone anymore with clients. It only takes one bad experience where you're like, nope, I'm good. I just don't. I also don't go into vacant houses alone. I wait till the clients get there. I know it would look so much better if I turned on all of those lights and be ready and waiting for them. But it is a pretty dangerous business that we're in. So just be very aware of your surroundings. Listen to your instinct. If your gut hurts, there's something wrong. It's often we're being watched or things that are going on. So just listen and be very aware of what's happening around you. And I have a really cool taser flashlight. If anyone wants the link, it's $12 on Amazon. It's awesome. So that's on the safety side. Now, as far as cameras and stuff go, people are listening whether you can see anything or not. So just be very aware, especially clients that have cameras will listen and watch everything you say, and it could really hurt you. They get really personal. Like if you do walk in and you're like, oh my gosh, this place stinks. Good luck getting your offer accepted. They've already decided they hate you. So just be aware of the kind of things. So this is the expectation with the buyers. Hey buyers, just so you know, a lot of times there's listening devices. So inside the home, I want you to just keep your comments professional and nice. We can really talk about how you feel about the home, good or bad, outside of the home when we're done. I don't want to talk about price in there. I don't want, just be pleasant. That's basically be pleasant. Real-time play. I can't remember what this is because we were going to play our game, but nope. No game for you guys. Okay, ahas from this section. I will take two. No, they're there. And I will wait. That's what you don't know about me. I do online classes for my clients, and I wait. And we wait. This section was on showing, I think. And we'll wait. Because if you guys didn't learn anything from it, I'm not going to keep investing my time. Might be pain, but I promise that we need two ahas.
I like the finishing in the kitchen part, because it is true, people make decisions in the kitchen more often than not. So I really like that.
Well, Zaya, thank you for participating. I appreciate it.
I thought you said that you needed to wait to be outside the house.
Oh, he's right. I totally conflicted. I totally conflicted because I said you could talk about it in the kitchen, but then you need to be outside. You know, life's changed so much. My first offer that I got accepted. So this is my challenge. I couldn't get any offers accepted. I would show and people would be like, oh, I love this house, but I want to go home and think about it. So I decided I was going to write an offer in the kitchen. I came to one of these classes and I was like, okay, I'm going to take a paper copy and I'm going to ask them if they like the house. And when they say they do, I'm going to say, great, let's write it up. And I sat down at the kitchen table and it was my first offer that got accepted. It was the first offer we actually wrote because nobody would write. We just kept looking at houses and I was so nervous and I have the worst handwriting, right? But honestly, it was like a game changer because they were like, yeah, I guess we should just write it up. We like this house. I was like, I think it was Clay that taught me that. So you're right. You decided we were in our house. But yes, don't stay in the storage room. And it happens all the time. I can't wait for your first time you're in your storage room and you're like, I'm going to take them up to the kitchen. Oh, you guys, thank you for sharing the ahas. Ahas are important because remember how I said it takes 6 times of retaining at 75%. When you say an aha, it helps you, that's number 2, but it also helps somebody else that went, oh yeah. And these classes, you know, we donate our time and energy into it. And I am passionate about teaching. I love being a part of Ignite, and it is true to my soul. In my past job, my past life, I was a training manager, and I trained all the managers that would go out to other restaurants. I ran a restaurant, and I love to train, but I only like to train when I make an impact. It's one of my 3 core values is impact. And if I'm not making an impact, I've got other stuff to do. Thanks for helping me make sure I'm making an impact. All right. So success with sellers. We got to hustle because I got tons to go through. Great agent client communications. We kind of already talked about this a little bit. But I think one thing that I want to share, the most important thing with any of your clients, but sellers especially, or when you're under contract, make sure you talk to every single client that you have on Friday. If you don't, I promise all weekend long, they stir and they get crazy. And Monday, they're like, I haven't heard from Angie for weeks, but it was really only Thursday. For whatever reason, I will tell you that if I miss a Friday, I feel it, and I feel like I have to make up for it later. But if I just call and say, hey, just a quick update, it's Friday, and I just want to make sure that you guys know what's going on before the weekend. We actually don't have anything going on. You guys were in a hurry up and wait place. You just relax. Next week, we got the appraisal coming up, but I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any questions before the weekend. No, fantastic. You guys have a great time. Literally, that phone call will take me 30 seconds. If I don't, I can feel their energy on Monday morning is like, I can't believe it. I haven't even heard from her. So every once in a while, I miss my Friday calls, but Fridays are a huge deal. And if I do that every Friday, I don't tell them I'm going to tell them every Friday. Some people do. I do have just different things that I do for all of them a little different. I actually, anyone who's under contract, I try to touch 2 to 3 times a week at least. So it's probably Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And again, it may just be a text message. Hey, how's it going? Nothing new on our end. I just wanted to make sure you're okay. But that does make a huge difference with them. Have a system of what it looks like. I'm getting my systems back together now that I don't have a TC. So I'm like, but I have a really cool cyberbacker. So Ritz, I understand. So she's helping me get some of that stuff together. Okay.
How long have you been doing this?
Since 2014.
Okay.
So in my past life, I ran the Village Inn for 15 years before I started here. And then
Which one? The one in Orem?
yes, that's where I ended up, but I worked graveyards in Provo and in Sandy. Sandy was during the Olympics. What was that? 2002?
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
a long time ago. I started in 98 when I was at the Village. So, and I loved it. I never thought I would leave the restaurant. I didn't ever plan on selling real estate.
Well, I did the same move. Oh, I was in restaurant also.
Oh, cool. Where was your most recent restaurant you worked at?
Outback Steakhouse.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you know Heather Morley?
I heard of her. I think I worked with her when I was first getting trained to be a manager,
Yeah.
and she was a server at the one in Orem.
Bartended some,
Uh-huh.
and she and I were new about the same time.
Okay.
And we connected because we were both restaurant kids, you know, and you just connect. There's something about restaurant people, it just is, right? But what I know is people who come out of restaurants, they know how to freaking, they work so hard. And I remember somebody came to me and said, if you work half as hard as you do at the restaurant, you'll easily make $100,000 a year. And I thought they were crazy, but it is absolutely the truth. So that first year out, so I left. This is a weird experience. We have time for this quick story, 2 minutes. My husband would always say, hey, you should go get your real estate license to save us money. And I'm like, well, you should get your real estate license. I'm busy. I like my job. I work 60 hours a week. Like, I don't want to go get my license. Well, one day he came home from work and he's like, hey, I signed up for school. I'm going to go get my real estate license. I was like, well, if you're going to go to school, maybe I'll go to school. So I signed up for life classes and we went to real estate school just for fun. Kind of like people go to dance class. We went to real estate school Tuesday and Thursday. And I never planned to get my license. He got his license and And we were at a small broker, he was at a small brokerage and we couldn't get any help writing contracts or even anyone to say hello. Like it was, you'd walk by and be like, hey, and people would walk right past you. If Keller Williams is the only brokerage you've been at, you don't know what you got. It is phenomenal that people will help here. And he went to the state training class, you have to do the ethics course and the new agent training. So he went to that and he called me on lunch. He's like, Angie, these agents, I met these agents and they're happy and they're smart and they're making money. I think we should go talk to their brokerage. I was like, well, I've never heard of Keller Williams, but I will sell you some pies. So I packed up my pies and I was just doing some local store marketing and we came out and met with the team leader. And what I found out about is that Keller Williams that year in 2013 had been voted #2 in training companies across industries worldwide. And what I knew at the restaurant is I could teach anyone to pour coffee and flip eggs, but I couldn't teach you to hustle, have integrity, have passion, work hard. And I was like, heck, if they're going to teach me, maybe I could do this. And we went to dinner that night. And I told my husband, I'm like, I think I'm supposed to leave the restaurant. Like I felt so over, like it was like light shined on the table. And he was like, I actually think you are. And I hadn't taken my test, but my classes were done. And I'm like, I've got to do it. And my husband is a super safe guy. So the minute he said I could quit, I went to work the next day and I gave my notice. So I couldn't take it back. I was like, let's do it. And honestly, like, so then I scheduled my test and I got everything going. That was mid-June of 2014. Ignite started July 1st.
Wow.
So I took my vacation days to be able to start Ignite with the group. And we didn't talk about our 90 days, which you probably need to pull out and do your 90-day mark, because that first 90 days is so crazy. It feels all like everything is great. My first 12 months out of the business, so by that next July, I had made like 50, it was within $10 what I made at the restaurant. It's like $56,700 or something. And I must have just known, like, if I didn't, my husband would have killed me. But honestly, like from there, it does roll. The first year is your hardest year because the next year was more like 107 and the next year was more like 250. The next year was more like 350. So I guess it just changes people's lives. Like it's pretty incredible. Now though, 90 days from that point, which you should pull out your phone and mark your 90-day calendar, because I know my 90th day was the last Tuesday in October 2014. And that house that I got them to write an offer on, those people, I screwed something up with that agent and she called me and she just ripped me a new one. She was so, I understand, like I get it, because I probably would, I don't know if I would, I didn't feel very good. We'll just say that I've been working my guts out more than I worked at the restaurant. I probably was working 16 hours a day, just studying and learning and calling people and doing all this crap. And then to just be like, I freaking suck. I can't do this job. It is so hard. I just want to call my boss and ask for my job back. I picked my kid up from school. I went upstairs. I crawled in bed, pulled the covers over my head. And I was like, oh my gosh, God, you were the one that told me to do this. You told me to quit my job and come here. Like, why did you do that? This is the most horrible decision I'd make. I wish they would. I wonder if they just take me back to the restaurant. And I'm sitting there and it's only a couple of minutes and God doesn't let you sit in your sorrow very long. So 5 minutes into it, he was like, will you just quit feeling so sorry for yourself? Get up and work. You go back to work. Like, get up and go to work. Fine. I don't want him. And I go downstairs and I just start calling people. Because that's what they tell you to do in this business. Every problem or challenge that you have will be solved if you just call people. Doesn't matter who you call. So I just started calling people on my spreadsheet. Everybody, like, how's it going? Just checking in on you. Just start calling. And the weirdest thing happens when you go to work and start calling. Nobody I called was interested in anything. But then the phone rang. And the guy that I had shown every stinky property to in Utah County, because he was an investor, he says, Angie, the smokehouse is getting a new roof. Can we put an offer on it? Okay. House stunk so bad. camel things all over the floor, like the little stickers. Oh, it's so gross. Put an offer on that house. Okay, we can do that. And then another lady who I had shown a bunch of stuff to and screwed something up on. She called me and said, hey, Angie, I saw on KSL, there's a condo. Can we go look at it tonight? And a few minutes after that, a lender called me and said, Angie, I have qualified buyers that are standing in front of a house right now. Can you go show them and write up an offer? By the end of that week, we had 5 under contract. Day 90 matters because day 90, you have to work 90 days. You have to work your guts out for 90 days to see anything in this business. So there's going to be, on day 90, you will be crying in the stairwell. And I need you to hear, get up and call people. Like that's what needs to be in your mind of, I guess have to keep going, because most people at day 90 just quit, but that's where the result will come. That cycle comes the same for me now. Like I'm in the same boat. If I don't do any work, I don't have anything to close. If I start working today, I won't see it until day 91. So keep going, mark it on your calendar. So when you're crying, you'd be like, and she said, this is normal. So that is probably, yeah, day 90 is super important. Okay. Right, blah, blah, blah. I got to fast forward that one. Okay. This is your reminder. People cannot discriminate during the transaction. Okay. We can discriminate against their financial standing, but we cannot discriminate if they are old, young, tall, short, purple, green. It doesn't matter. Now, I know your neighbors have asked you to get good neighbors for them. What we can discriminate against is financial standing, and people who have good financial standing usually make good neighbors. They'll usually take care of their yards and they'll usually contribute to society. So that is the thing that is my job as your agent, is I will make sure that they're qualified and I will make sure that they're good financially. And then I promise, like, that's the best thing you can do, but we don't discriminate. That's my spiel that I tell sellers. All right. No commission is worth it. The second commandment on our team is we do the right thing because it pays well. It does. If you do, that's the coolest part about this business. If you go to work and you just do the right thing for your clients, money will pour into your account. You have to show up, do the work, and do it with integrity, and it will come in. This is our why 4 C's, 2 T's, and some other stuff. We're going to just keep plowing through because we got a lot to cover. MLS, listing reflects your brand. When you're putting your seller, okay, they pay us a lot of money. Do it well. Somebody's paying you $15,000 to sell their house. Do not use your cell phone to take pictures. Do it well. Like, make sure the documents are right. Make sure the information is right. Do you know how often people put in listings that don't put the bedrooms or bathrooms, that are just zeros? It's real, but they're making the same amount of money and it's crap. Don't do that. Like, get professional photos, make sure the information is accurate, make sure it looks good, make sure your photos aren't sideways, make sure, like, all the right things. So and have a plan for the seller of what that looks like, and get them prepped and ready. You only go on the market once. You get one shot to make the first impression. That's when everybody's eyeballs are on your house. So if you're not ready, don't list. If you still have to get stuff done. So there are ways that you can get your contract signed and wait to put it on the market until it's ready. There is a form, the MLS exclusion form. Talk to Dean about it and make sure it gets sent to the MLS. Because if you don't, they fine you $250 automatically. They charge your account. They did that to me last week, but I sent all my stuff documenting and I sent it to you and they reversed the charge. But I will sign a contract maybe 6 weeks before we're ready to list, because we're helping them get ready to list. And we want it to look great, because if you're not ready and that motivated buyer walks through and they give you feedback that it's gross and it didn't get cleaned and it's not ready, and then you fix those, you don't get a chance again with that buyer. They're gone. Your most motivated people are going to come out in the first 48 hours. So you better be ready on day 1. Oh, aha, I'll take one.
What I like what you said is that to be ready, make sure that the house looks good, that you did all of the hard work in advance.
And so I don't know if you guys have, Becca, did you come to Becca Summers class? She probably was the listing class.
Mhm.
Come to that one again next month. She's the one teaching that for the next 6 months. Her listings are phenomenal. She's a little intense.
Oh, Becca,
Becca.
yeah, yesterday, yeah, it wasn't on Wednesday.
Probably.
Yeah, I was there.
I said intense and you knew exactly what
Yeah,
I'm talking about. I'm like,
Yeah,
but
I forgot,
she's a little intense.
yeah,
I always have to say when I sit in one of her classes that comparison is the thief of joy. So I have to be careful not to compare because she's so good that I don't want to feel not good enough. Take it, do what you can with the information and don't feel bad about it. Because she's perfected her systems over years and years and years, and she's very.
she's curvy.
She,
When she told me she got 2 storage units full of furniture for staging homes, I was like, what? You know,
she's a little intense, and
but it works for her.
it does. And I want you to rewind 8 years ago when she started. It didn't look like that.
Mhm.
So you cannot compare your first day to her 8th year. I remember one of the bosses here said that to me because I was really struggling my first year. And he's like, you have got to stop comparing your first year in real estate to your last year in the restaurant.
Yeah.
It is not the same. And so realize you're on your journey and take it one step at a time. The next thing is if you're not ready, just partner with somebody. Share your commission so that you can represent well, because it will lead to referrals instead of half-assing it because that's what you did because you're like so excited you got a lead and then it went to crap and then you can't get referrals and you totally lost your business for it. Be open and realize like it's okay to share because that agent will help you make it look great. And then your people be like, man, he's got it. He knows how to make this look good and it'll feel good.
You know, from past experience, my first house I bought it from a realtor that didn't do a great job. But at the end, because of his business, because I think 2 years after that, he had to quit doing real estate because people complain about his ethics and he's out.
And
He
he
was out.
just won't get more. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing is if I can tell you, like, when I talk about open houses, that's where maybe I met them, but then we'll do additional transactions with them. So I met a gentleman in 2015 that came to an open house. He bought that house. And after we got in relationship and I provide value for him, he has sold a duplex, a fourplex, a single family home, and has purchased 3 townhouses with us.
Nice.
And then it's like, I have another gal that same year that we met them at an open house. It took them probably 3 months for us to get in a relationship, but they have bought 2 other houses since, but we met at an open house. So I think we meet people there, but we stay in relationship with them and hopefully try to provide a lot of value. All right, session 1 is over. We have now session 2. We will go fast. I'm gonna skip some of this stuff. Okay, this is once you go under contract. So the thing about this is it's your job. We've actually kind of talked a lot about this. Communication throughout the transaction after you go under contract is going to be really important. It's not just like, woohoo, we're under contract, good. It's not too much to talk to them every day. I think some people might say that. It's not. They're making a huge purchase. It's not a bad thing to say, hey, how you feeling? Do you need anything? So don't be scared. I think some people are like, they're going to think I don't know what I'm doing. No, just ask them how they're feeling. Totally fine. Make sure you just follow the contract deadlines. Honestly, the number one most important thing you can do is have somebody help you. So I think you guys in your program get TC included, right? Transaction coordinating included when you're part of the launch group.
I'm doing a different workout because I'm working with William. And so he's my trainer right now.
Okay.
So
he would be your support for that.
yes.
Bad mistake on my part. I didn't ask for help and they didn't have those programs back then. And the due diligence deadline came up and I was like, does that mean you send them the due diligence checklist? No, we just try. Just learn. Okay. This screen talks about communication point through the transaction. So one of the most valuable things that I did after that first transaction is I was sitting there waiting for the seller to drop off keys because I didn't coordinate it ahead of time. And I decided I would write down everything that went well during the transaction and everything I would do different. And that actually led to most of my systems that I use today. So I feel like I almost just even want to, and I'm happy to share my transaction checklist with you guys, but like what happens as soon as we go under contract, that buyer is so, let's say it's a buyer, they're so nervous. They're just like, oh, now what? And so I learned that when I tell them we're under contract, if I send it in a text, because usually it's a text, I'm on a group message with both husband and wife, and I will message out to them a cute little GIF or something that is like, congratulations. And then I say, and tonight, just celebrate, sit back and eat some ice cream. We'll be in touch tomorrow morning. Because if I don't say that immediately, they're like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And I have an email and I just say, I will be in touch tomorrow, or first thing tomorrow morning, you're going to email with all the instructions, and it's going to talk about the earnest money. It's going to talk about your inspectors, but tonight you just get to celebrate, because it's probably 5 o'clock and I'd like to have dinner with my family. And I know that I'm like, if I do that, then I set the expectation tomorrow morning, they'll get an email that talks about earnest money. Where does it go and how do they do that? Inspections and inspectors. Here are 3 inspectors. Let me know if you want me to schedule it, or you can call and schedule it. And in that we send them, I ask them as well, are you okay with our title company? So we get everybody in the loop of everything. One thing that will help you is if you just put everybody on your emails. So when you have updated addendums or updated pieces of the contract, everyone gets it. So you just have a group of people you send it to, title, lender, the other agent, your TC, if you have one, like everybody gets that. Additional questions to ask yourself. When am I reminding the buyers not to make big purchases?
That's a big one.
That's a huge one. When am I communicating when to set up their utilities and how? When am I communicating notices of holidays that might delay the process? How do I negotiate inspection report? And when am I communicating this information? And when do I touch base with the lender, title company, or listing agent? I'm happy to share like our emails that go through it in our systems. You guys do have to send me an email if you want me to do that. I don't know where our board is. I normally can write my stuff up. But if you email me and request it, I'm happy to share. We have a checklist that we use, and you sound like William probably has one as well, but my email is Angie, ANGIE @Team Fisher Homes. Usually this one, but it's not. And Fisher is spelled, let me see if I can add it to a chat here for these guys. So it's ANGIE @Team, TEAM. Fisher is FISCHER, and then Homes is plural. Angie @teamfisherhomes.com. And I just put that in the chat for you guys. So I have kind of learned like when to do what. So after we get our earnest money, then we set up our inspectors. After we negotiate the repairs on the inspection there, and we order our appraisal. Then there's something that happens. There's a lull of time because we spent so much time together. We showed all these houses, then we did the inspection, and we did all of this, that it feels really quiet. So I actually send cookies after the appraisal, but before our final walkthrough, because it's something in between that is just like, congratulations, so much fun. So I used to, when I was on a cheaper budget, I did a red box code and a box of candy, and I'd leave it on the front porch. So you can do stuff. Just know there's a point in time where there's nothing going on. So I might even send 3 messages. It's like, how you guys doing? We're still in a hurry up and wait time. And that's all, like, just to help them know what's happening. These are great questions though, of like, how am I communicating and when am I doing that? I am gonna skip through these. These are all just the transaction stuff. You're gonna get a chance to do that
Mhm.
with the next two classes.
Okay.
Command opportunities. Command is freaking awesome. I personally like it and it gets better every day. Just for fun, you guys should log into my command. Like I should show you. It was so fun. We've been really working on trying to make sure our information is in there right. So when I opened it yesterday, it was like, you have 2 home anniversaries and these birthdays coming up at the top. I was like, so nice. It actually just has great, like that's where we run all of our business out of. I know not everybody loves command, but it's getting better and better. Your opportunities you can use to follow your pipeline. You can put your leads into command immediately. I need to work on that. I use spreadsheets. I'm not that technology savvy. So I use spreadsheets on ours, but there is just a ton that can help you out in command. Oh, that was a short one. I will take one aha here. Christian, it's going to be on you.
Just on command, I'm new at that, so I was looking at it last night. It seems like it's really good because it pretty much helps you reminds yourself of stuff that are coming up.
It can. And somebody asked me, what's one thing that you would tell Angie on day one to do different? And I have always had that story or that script that I'm not very technology savvy and I'll just use a spreadsheet. I would have built my muscle memory better using command or using an actual CRM, client management system. So you get into the routine of like, I'm sitting here and I'm doing it. I compare it. This is how I used to always say, I compare it to the restaurant where everybody always thought they had the best detail cleaning list, checklist that was going to solve all the problems. And a new manager would come in and they'd make a whole new detail cleaning checklist that would solve all the problems. And I was like, the best detailed cleaning checklist is the one you'll use, even if it's on a napkin and it's duct taped to the wall.
Yep.
As long as they use it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be fancy. And I felt that way same with CRMs. It's like, if I use a spreadsheet, then I should use a spreadsheet. And I use a spreadsheet a lot. But now I don't have as much information on people as I would like that the CRM could really offer and make it robust. And if try to build the muscle memory, it'll serve you well. Okay, time wise, we are getting through more than we did last time, guys. We didn't even come close to this. Okay. Best practices and risk avoidance. I don't know if we're going to cover too much of that. Let's see. Communicate clearly and often with everybody involved in the steps of the transaction. If something goes sideways, don't hide it. Go talk to Dean or go talk to an agent about it right away. Don't try and hold something that you don't know. You don't know the answer to, or you're like, shiz, I really did mess up. It's okay. But let's do it as soon as possible. And then maintain professionalism throughout. I was feeling a little guilty for showing up in sweats today, but and real Angie today. Okay. Be proactive. We kind of already talked about that. Really watch those dates and deadlines. Have a system for what that is. You can put them on your calendar. You can set reminders on your phone when you're first getting started to just get really comfortable with it. I would just I have a contract cover sheet that I'm old school with paper that has all the information, and I would just touch every contract cover sheet every day when I was managing my own contracts because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing those dates and deadlines. Now you'll see it in my spreadsheet that I have that, and the spreadsheet is just like, it just walks you through like, what's next? Oh, good. We got our inspection back. What's next? Time to send cookies or and then be a fiduciary. We talked about that in our last screen of what the fiduciary means versus just a functionary agent. Referrals and reviews. That is actually the same as our last one for the most part. But just ask and then help them understand what it sounds like. So what you're going to find is that people think, I don't want to ask for a review till I get to the end of the transaction, and I don't want to ask for a referral till I get to the end of the transaction. During the transaction is the best time to ask. That's actually when they're talking to everybody about it. they're at work and they're like, I went and saw houses last night. And somebody else goes, oh my gosh, I was thinking about buying a house. That's when they're talking about it. Once they are in their house and it's done, the conversations are actually different and you're going to be less likely to get the referral. So just talk about that and be like, you know what I found is when you start looking for houses, you're going to be surprised. Everyone around you, you're going to start to hear other people who are looking to buy and sell houses. So when that happens, think about me, let me know, I'm your girl, or whatever. You find your voice of whatever that sounds like. My husband's fun because he is good at being able to refer them into me. And so it is kind of, I get the best referrals from him. Like the guy at the sign place where everybody gets their real estate signs printed. My husband is like, hey, you should come to our classes. Hey, my wife will help you. Hey, all this stuff. And finally he came, and he's just a young kid. We've helped him buy 2 houses since, and he sent me a message the other day to go buy some commercial real estate. And he's like, you guys are seriously the only ones that ever gave me the time of day. So like, just realize there's a lot of people out there that you can help. You probably even know in restaurants, like those kids, the ones that we help buy houses that are from the restaurant, changes their lives. I love it. And actually, yeah, I don't want to get too into that, but offline we can talk. Bibiana made a huge difference in some of the people's lives at the restaurant and helped me with those. Okay, post, close, follow up. Put a timer in your phone to remember. So at 7 days, check in on them, make sure they got their utilities changed over, see if there's anything that needs to happen. Just check in on them. And at 30 days, same thing. Hey, just thinking about you guys. I miss you. We saw we spent every day for 30 days together, and I haven't heard from I haven't heard from you, or I haven't seen you. Just check in on them. Do 30 days, and then make sure they get into the 36 touch program. So for us to when we close a transaction, now it's my cyberbacker that does it, but my assistant would start a calendar invite right then for their anniversary that shows up on my Google Calendar. So every day I can see whose anniversary it is, and inside is the notes of the MLS number and the information, so I can quickly do market reports and send it to them on it. And it's oddly is some of the best things that we've done that's generated ongoing business with them. I think it's one of the best things that you can do to stay in relationship with them is you'll forget. It just is. Like, we all think we'll remember stuff, but when I send their yearly market report, you'd be surprised how many call back and be like, I had no idea I had so much equity. Let's sell. And then you're in a real estate conversation with them. We do events too. Those are fun. But for me, I want to talk about real estate with them. I want to have real estate conversations. So even after they close, if you were to do a listing alert for that person 1 mile around that comes to you, that you could just send them, hey, your neighbor just listed, just thought I'd send it to you for fun. That's a real estate conversation. That's not asking them to buy, sell, list, ask for referrals. It's just you giving them data, and you're the expert. So it's one of the simplest things you can do once they close to help do some follow-up. Command has all these fancy things you can do too. They're really easy to work with inside Command. Co-agent follow-up, good ones. If you do have a good agent, honestly, it's super easy to get them into a text message with Shoni. We want good agents here. If they're bad agents, do not try to recruit them. Very important. So, and I just have a text message that I start with the agent. I usually wait 30 days. I don't want to do it right after, so they don't think they're part of a checklist. And my text message just says, hey, Bob, I really enjoyed our transaction with you. My team leader just asked me who some of the best agents were that I've worked with this year, and your name came to mind. So I wanted to introduce you to Shoni. KW has been a huge part of my personal growth and our financial success. And I just thought I would let you guys have a conversation. Something there's some emojis in there and some stuff, but I really believe that about KW. If you don't, you got to go to some other brokerages. And if we don't share the KW story, you could impact somebody's life. My success 100% has to do with being at KW. Their training programs and the environment I'm in and the people that I'm around. The speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. And I keep up with people because I'm in this environment. And how fair is it for me not to share that with other people? When I started at KW, we had we had one duplex, 2 doors. Now we have 18. Like KW has made a huge impact in my life. I need to share my story with others because it might impact their life. And if I was too scared to open my mouth, like shame on me, they deserve to be in a great place. So that's I'll get off my soapbox.
So you're an investor also?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we've moved all of our investments out of state. It just makes my life a lot better. We're down in Florida, so I have 2 4-plexes and 4 duplexes, a random house in Indiana, and our house and I have an apartment downstairs in our house.
Okay.
So real estate changes people's lives. Like their first house is the best thing that they can do, but their first investment just changes it.
Mhm.
So that's what got us started, is it was taxes for us. I was at the restaurant, stinking servers got the child tax credit. They took their kid to the same daycare and got it for free. And I had to pay $6,000 to have my kid at that daycare. And I didn't get a child tax credit. I was like, we are spending so much money in taxes. So we went and talked to the tax guy and he's like, you should buy an investment property. That'll help you. We didn't understand it. We didn't know. Nobody had taught us about the 4 quadrants of real estate investing. It's huge. It will change their life. It's the best thing that you can do. And if you can save them money in taxes, let's say you save them 10 grand in taxes. Okay, let's just even say, let's make it more realistic. Say $2,500 in taxes. Well, what is that? That's $500. No, 2,500. That's $2 grand a month. That's $500 a week. They can't go to their boss and be like, hey, can I make an extra $100 today?
It'd be $200 a week.
200. Corey's good for me. I'm so glad you're
Doing the
good.
math one there.
So $50 a week.
It's what is it?
Be about $50 a week. For
50 bucks a week,
2,500?
200 a month, $2,400 a year. You are right. Keeping me right on the straight and narrow. So, but it's true. Let's just even say that. Can they go to their boss and ask for an extra $50? Taxes is the fastest way that you can make more money. And then like honestly, it changes people's lives. Uh-oh, my battery's low, guys. I might lose you. We better get, I need one aha from everybody in this screen. How was your thinking changed today? What ideas or mindsets? How you feel about that? Because the way we feel and the energy in which we do things matters. And what action will you take today to make an impact in your business? Who's ready to go first? I feel like Zoom has to go first because you guys are going to die. I'm down to 8% or something.
I think I need to focus more on follow-up relationships and stuff. I haven't been really good about, I spend, as you say, spend all the time with them and then they just kind of disappear. I need to focus on contacting them better, not waiting some months later, but actually keep that relationship strong after the closing.
And you'd be surprised, but just gifts like the GIFs or whatever, Jeff, I don't know, however you say it, they are actually really fun to send. You can and it's easy. It sounds kind of silly, but sometimes I'll get them from like big strong men and it's fun. Like you're like, oh, and it might just be a congratulations, or there's a Wednesday one that I send that is like that Addams Family Wednesday. It's like happy Wednesday or happy Friday. Those are good, easy things to send that are soft and not hard sells. I also like to send inspirational YouTube videos or just quotes. Like I can screenshot off of Instagram that I see something that might be good on mindset. I will screenshot that and send it out to people like, hey, just thinking about you today, and share something that is of value without asking all the time. But that way you can build, there should be a few messages back and forth that just helps keeping you in relationship. That's so good. Good aha and good action, Corey. Mosiah?
I like when you mentioned that when everything that you do seems that it's not working out, the only thing you can do is just, keep working, keep pushing through it, finishing those 90 days strong, and probably just call more people from my database. I think that's going to make a huge difference, and using Command a lot more for sure.
Awesome. Just call people. that it's something about that energy that you can call it God or the universe, whatever you want to call it, that will pay you for going to work. And something happens, it's always a different, somebody else calls me time and time again. It's just the most beautiful, amazing, blah, have faith, whatever you want to call it, faith or fear, you choose, like something. It's the energy in which what comes to us, and I can't explain it. Very cool. Good. I like that, Christian.
Well, the first thing, from both of us being in the restaurant business, how you said that real estate changed your life, that's what I want. I want that change. So that's why I'm here.
That's awesome. Keep showing up, even on the hard days, and keep calling people. Keep calling people. And I do know that from restaurants that you work hard.
Mhm.
And if you just do, like, if you think when you come to work, would you employ you? Sometimes we get in this business and we don't have to show up at 5 a.m. so we don't. Show up here for yourself like you'd show up for your boss there.
Exactly.
And that will change your life. And I'm excited for you.
Thank
My
you.
heart always connects. And I'm glad. I thanks for being in this room. I don't know why that other room just throws me off anyways, but you guys, I appreciate your participation today. I know it's kind of hard to be on Zoom. Sorry, I feel a little crazy, but hopefully this one was better than the last class I gave on this. I got through all of the data, you guys. I'm feeling really good about it. And your participation makes the class so much better, and it makes me feel of value. One thing that if we can get before if it doesn't die on us, is there any feedback that the gift for me is if you can offer any feedback that you would like me to do different on a class. And that actually is the gift. So I would love if everybody gave me one thing that was like, this part was hard. This was weird. I wish I would have learned more about this.
I don't know. I think you did great.
I hate when people say that. I
It's just-
appreciate it. Thank you.
I
But
think-
Sherry.
Well, it's hard because I'm learning.
You're new.
Maybe in a month I can tell you, hey, maybe this would have been different, but
Maybe
for right now, it's just whatever information I'm getting, I'm absorbing it,
if I could, I would have been set up better in here. That's probably my feedback for me is.
Yeah, that's the only
class.
thing
That's
is
that.
was this setup because
Sorry about that. You guys were so patient with me today. These guys Ritz was amazing.
once you got the class going, it was a good class. I liked it.
Messiah, you look like you have feedback.
I'm with him. I think everything was great. I guess the only thing would be the audio issue, but that's just sometimes happens, but
Yeah. I like this room better. I just wish we could make it work more often for me. I teach classes. Part of our business strategy is once a month I teach classes to our sphere. So I rotate 1 month on.
Mic test. Yeah, looks like they cut off. So see you again on Wednesday, guys, for our next session of Ignite. Have a great day. Take care.